Welcome and welcome back to the present. If you just joined my channel or just stumbled to my channel, you're not in the wrong place. Yes, you're not in the wrong place at all. Strike a like on the video, subscribe if you subscribe, turn on bells, and we appreciate all those three. Like the video, subscribe, and make sure your notification bells are turned on. You remember this? Do you remember this? You know, our friend Mr. Howard Webb came out and told us to explain why the decision was, or the go against Newcastle was given. He has some very interesting things to say. Now, we all saw the clip. Now, what I find very interesting and bemusing is that it took them 2 weeks to come out with their carefully scripted propaganda. Yeah, I say what I say. Is a carefully orchestrated, scripted propaganda. What the match? We saw what happened. Now they have come out with the backing of the mainstream media to try and sell us this propaganda and shove it down our throat, and we have to believe it because Howard Webb said it. See, if Howard Webb said it, and Simon Jordan second is Talksport, and Gary Neville and Michael Owen and all these former players push this narrative, we are supposed to believe it, even though what we saw with our eyes doesn't look subjective. Let's give them a benefit of that. Let's say it's subjective. We do not want subjectivity in the hands of incompetent referees. Every weekend, we have to discuss the referees. Every weekend. And yet, somehow, the fans and the managers are the ones bringing the game to disrepute. Even though the reaction of the fans and the managers are being provoked by the incompetent refereeing and the referees. But somehow, we are going to shift the blame and push it on the fans and the managers who are talking too much, who are just insearchable, who can just oh Lord, this is interesting. Now let's listen to what Danny Murphy had to say regarding this issue. She just listen carefully to the words used. Carefully listen to the words used. Fair use. This is from Talksport. Let's play this clip and listen carefully.
So against Arsenal that so riled Mikel Arteta.
You see what they started? It so riled Mikel Arteta. So if you feel riled by seemingly bad decision, you don't have the audacity to be angry. Especially if it's a repeated offense by this referee. You don't have the right. Just suck it up. No, suck it up. How dare you? How dare you show emotion? How dare you get offended? Even though they provoke you, suck it up. Let me not bore you too much. Let's listen. Let's listen to more and more of this.
Your belief the goal should not have stood, or are you now thinking, that's fine, it was all right, the goal should have stood, and it was right that it stood?
Well, on the day when I thought initially it was a goal, then I watched a lot of the replays and thought it's probably a foul, a little push.
Let's analyze that. When I watched initially, I thought it was a goal. But after, behind the scenes, we've been briefed by Howard Webb and the rest to follow this propaganda, so I changed my mind. See, you have to listen to the undertone. See, don't think Danny Murphy by pushing that, oh, first of all, I thought it was a goal. You're thinking it's going to be objective. No! This is a gimmickry of the press, of the mainstream. It's not about the truth. It's not about the objectivity. It's about a narrative. It's about propaganda. See, this is 2023. You need to wake up. A lot of you need to wake up. The mainstream media is not about the truth. It's not about what is fair. It's about narratives and propaganda. Unfortunately, I didn't make it that way. I wish it wasn't that way, but it is what it is. We all saw. I'll get to that. Let's listen to more. We'll get to that. Let me not rush this. We'll get to that.
In the back, but not definitive. It wasn't.
No, let's. You need to hear this. Let's go back. Let's go back to here.
In the back, but
no. I didn't get it right. Okay.
But initially it was a goal. Then I watched a lot of the replays and thought it's probably a foul, a little push in the back.
You had a little push in the back.
It wasn't an absolute glaring error for me. It was one of those.
Oh, it looks like a push in the back, but not an absolute glaring error. Now, let me show you what you're talking about. Let me show you. How is this not a push, a blatant push? Even though it's a still photo, how is this not a blatant push? 2 hands by his neck, impeding Gabriel from jumping. Because if it wasn't impeding Gabriel, Gabriel would have defended that ball well. But look at, how can you tell me this is subjective? Is this as much as what Saka did at the weekend against Burnley, the defender, and you referee were quick to call it a foul? Let me take your mind back to last season against Leicester away, right? Ben White had just 1 hand on the goalkeeper, and Trossard scored that fantastic goal. Guess what? That goal was chalked off because of that hand on the goalkeeper. Just 1 hand, not 2 hands, right? They called it. They called the one that this last weekend, even though we won 3-1 against Burnley, they called it on a foul on Saka. They called the one of Leicester City last season, 1 hand on Ben White. But this is subjective. Even though we can see 2 hands on his neck, exerting the weight to make sure Gabriel doesn't jump. But this is subjective. This is incredible. And we are supposed to believe Howard Webb come and give us a scripted, orchestrated explanation why the decision to give that goal is valid. We are not insane. We are not silly. We are not silly. This is embarrassing for the English Premiership. Very embarrassing that you are going to tell us that was not a foul. And you push the likes of Danny Murphy, Simon Jordan, Michael Owen to push this narrative and shove it down our neck, even though we can see that was not a subjective decision. That is objectively, that's the incompetence fans and managers are tired of. And yet, Howard Webb was supposed to come in and clean the referee for sanity and bring some sanity, bring some competence to it. No, he's doubling down on the wrongs of the referee because you need to protect their mates. You need to protect the fraternity. Interesting. The hypocrisy, the inconsistency of these referees is making the English Premiership look like a joke. It's looking farcical. See, when the Premiership resumes next week, we are going to see how the kamikaze. See, the circus continues. Because if they won't take responsibility and say, yes, let's own up, we can do better, you're making too many mistakes, then you can see managers and referees, even when they're angry, they can show some leniency. They can a little bit more magnanimous and understand that these are human beings. We need to retrain these people. We need to bring fresh blood. But no, they are doubling down on their wrong. Giving us some scripted propaganda, trying to push it down and we have to believe it. I'm not falling for that. I would like to get in your comment section what you think about it. Because I'm sorry, there's nothing subjective about this. There is nothing this is a clear foul, this is a clear show, this is a clear impediment on Gabriel that should have been called, the goal should have been chalked off, but the referee and the VAR succumb to the fact that we're playing away at Newcastle. That's an incompetence of the referees. It's incompetence. Let's say the referee actually, in another word, they're actually competent. We will not be arguing about the subjectivity, because subjectivity under competent refereeing, you can understand human errors here and there. But when the human errors are repeated, they are priced into the fixtures. That is no more human error. That is blatant incompetence. So let me know in the comment section what you think about the waffles of Howard Webb, the Pgmol president that came to defend the indefensible. I'd like to know in the comment section. Let me know what you think about that. So like the video, very, very important. Subscribe here to subscribe and make sure you turn on the notification bell. Extremely, extremely important. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.